Greetings. Hope everybody's got a pleasant day going on them. Everything around you is pleasant. High vibrations, higher mind, good things. That's what we got to focus on. Love, much love, much love to all of you. And I mean that deeply, tenderly, compassionately. I feel for the human race. My entire lessons are about teaching or sharing. I should say more like sharing information. Sharing stuff about our language that should be quite frightening once your eyes are opened up to the reality of etymology and what's really being said. So rather than trying to dismiss what I'm going to share with you, I would say debunk it. Prove me wrong. Make me a liar. Make a video against me and prove that I'm wrong and about what I share. So, in the Bible, these are all scriptures that I'm going to be covering. Jesus says, I am the light, the truth, and the way. Nobody comes to the Father but through me. Now, the first thing is Li equals lie. Li equals lie. So now when we look at the list here about what I've been trying to say about a class of people that are lying to us through our language. Lie. Jesus is the light, the life, and the way, he says. The way. The saber, the lightsaber, the way. Jesus is the light, the life, and the way. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. That is a mediator. You are a spiritual being, and you are putting a fleshly being before Source, the Spirit. So when we look at the words, the lie, because we got to start looking at things in reverse. I've come to the realization when God said, let there be light, that there was a lesser light and a greater light. In the greater light he called the sun, in the lesser light he called the moon. These are both lights. It says it right there in the parable. The lesser light. The moon doesn't get light from the reflection of the sun. I want you to understand that there is a race of people, a hive, and when the tentacles go out and the wings start zzz and all of that, they move, they swarm. This is why they're called a flight of locusts. I've showed you this in the parables. Okay? That's what a Gentile can be referred to as, a flight of locusts or a troop of animals. Well, who more to place a troop of animals on what I'm sharing with you than the military? They're the troop of animals. Grab the wrong pin here. They're the troop of animals. If you go to Jeremiah 16:19 in Bible Hub, it's got to be Bible Hub, all right? Because you're going to be going to the Strong's Concordance here. And when Jeremiah 16:19 comes up, it's going to say, "O Lord, you're my strength, refuge, and fortress in the day of my affliction." Okay, the Gentile is going to say, put the cursor on the word Gentile. And the definition for Gentile is going to be Goyim, okay? It's going to be a flight of locusts and a troop of animals. Oh yeah. You're probably going to want to listen to this in double time because I'm recording it. So in Jeremiah 16:19, it's saying that the Gentiles shall come from all ends of the earth, claiming that we have inherited nothing but lies, which is from the religious leaders, from military leaders, from politics, from the policies and those that they put in place to police us, which you have lice with the police. Not a really pretty word to join in there about the popo, that they're like lice, because that's what they are, whatever color they are. If you're on a department, then there's a brotherhood that's going on, okay, which are the principalities and the Republicans and the relics that they sell us, okay? And then you have the Democrats. Oh, how do I reach that? Well, don't be too thrilled about Democrats, because the very word demo, rats, exist. You have ticks, you have the ick, you have the tick, you have the rat, you have the demo rat. The demo in this case here means to demolish. It means to demolition. And I know I'm correct on this because what are these people doing? They're tearing down this world. They're cutting 78,000 acres of trees every day with their heavy equipment operating, just hacking the hell out of this planet, tearing Mother Earth up, cutting it all down. And oorah, America's the ones that's doing it, and you guys are screaming America, the greatest country on the world. I don't understand it, but let's stay focused on what we're seeing here, because Li represents the lie, and this is also why you have believe. Okay. Okay, and I don't like so much that we have Eve in believe. We have L in believe. Okay, and I've done many lessons about L. I've done many lessons about the lie, and I would say that there seems to be a part of the story that may be missing in the scriptures, and it's that mythology story about Lilith, who's mentioned one time inside of the Bible, Isaiah 34:14, that speaks about the hyenas and the goats. Okay, I've covered this. I've done this video as well. Okay, the hyenas and the goat people, because this is talking about when Snoop Dogg, look into the names of these people that are in high positions, okay? He's a Snoop Dogg, okay? Dog spelt backwards is God. He's a Snoop God is what he is. And these people, they feed off of you. Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg wore the goat around his neck, okay? Telling you that it's the greatest of all times. No, again, this is code for Isaiah 34:14 that they're talking about directly in the Bible, because everything that I share directly touches scriptures inside of the Bible. When I talk about Donald Trump and 666, I connect it to the Bible. I connect Donald Trump and his tower to Genesis 11:4. I connect the pineal gland that they're talking about with Jacob. When he crosses the river, he sees it and he calls it pineal. He wrestles with God. When I talk about the lamp of the eye of the lamp, I make the connection that it is the pineal gland. I've showed you in many of the videos. Go watch Dark Horse when Katy Perry puts the pineal gland straight to her face in the video. You see, these people that are in power know what I'm sharing with you to be truth, but they're sharing it to you the same way they want me to share it with you. They want me to share with you because they've contacted me, believe me. They want me to share the content with you. They've even said it, if you could just be a little funnier about it, if you could go in a direction where, the people laugh about it. And no, because this is not something that you laugh at. We're talking about a spiritual war that is literally taking place for a soul, man. The soul that's inside your flesh suit, that's the operator of your flesh, is here to do battle and war. Okay? So you either war against God, the higher mind, or you war against yourself, the lower mind. Okay? It's better to find the balance that's needed between our left and right hemispheres of the brain. The first thing that we've got to really work on is we got to reconnect between men and women, man. We got to start loving one another again, because this internet is putting off a lot of bad frequencies about men and women hating one another, man. And I'm not talking about sex. I just mean about coming together and being one, a unit. If a woman wants to be fine without a man, I have no problems with that. I really don't. That's her position. I'm okay with that. I don't have any problem with it. Okay? I have problems with the separation. This internet and everything that's taking place. Because we're all underneath of a spell. And we are living alive. We are alive. Alive is when you start looking what I've shared with you in the Strong's Concordance, 6754 is Salim. Okay, and when you look at Salim backwards, you have molest. Now I know molest is spelt with an O. Okay, keep telling you, it's the word that goes out into the ether. Okay, Salim, spelt backwards, is molest. The definition for Salim is to shade. To shade. Though I walk through the valley of death, I shall feel no evil, for thou's staff comforts me. The valley of the shadow of death. The shadow is the shadow that we're casting. So when it says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, Salim means to shade our soul, because I'm telling you that the flesh suit is a spaceship and the soul is the operator to the flesh suit. Okay? The flesh does nothing without your soul. It's the soul that animates your flesh suit. My soul that gets up and has this deep desire to share, to make these connections scripturally with scriptures. Okay? Using the scriptures, this is what makes me so powerful. People will tell you that they don't understand the Bible. I do today. I'm gifted. Something was presented to me and I have a gift today that not many Gentile have. If I'm even a Gentile. So, religion also is G-I, Gion, religion, G-I-O-N, could be, I'm not saying it is, I'm saying could be G-I-J-I-N-N, which is a evil spirit, or a mischievous, because there's levels of these entities, okay, that can control something and just make it say something completely that doesn't make any sense at all to a conversation that's taking place. Or to give you another example, like my dad, if there's a song that's on and you're trying to groove into the song and everything like that, And then my dad will jump in and he'll start singing something that's completely off, completely out of key, and doesn't belong there. Like, he could do that in a crowd of 30 people, and it would be like the most, embarrassing thing in the world, because everybody's in the groove, man, singing this one song. My dad will come in and start singing, "Oh, New York." Everybody's singing Pearl Jam. Dad comes in singing his who is it? Tony, what's his name? Who sings that song? Can't think of his name. So also you have legions. Religion, you have the legions. The legions. These are the legions of demo. That's me. I just did that. Demo. You know why? Because it has to go with the Democrats. The demo. To demolish. To have a demolition. To completely tear down. I wish you understood that America became a great nation so that us, my grandfather, if he's still alive, those that have lived 100 years, a decade, and watching a century roll by, holy shit, a person that lives 100 years, I want you to imagine, just for 1 second, living for 300 or 400 years here and believing in a voting system. How many times would you have to go to the polls? How many times would you have to listen to a Democrat, to anybody, a politician, and them say that they're going to do this, and we're going to bring this on, and we're going to bring that on, and we're going to bring the people in, and we're going to open the borders, and we're going to close the borders, and we're going to build the fence, and we're not going to build the fence, and the illegals, and this. And how many times do I have to tell you that the illegals, okay, are the government, the ones that write the legal system. So simple. It's horrifying at the same time. So the flight of locusts have a lie in it because it can only exist if this simulation can make you believe it. If the simulation can make you believe what's going on around you is real, then you have completely ignorant to the fact that you are in a simulation, which is the sim, which gives you the simps, the simulation. This place we live in is what's offering you the wars, because you got to remember when all of this is taking place, they're telling you in the movies that the gods taught us forgery, the gods taught us how to forge metals, the gods taught us makeup, the gods taught us this, the gods taught us that, the gods taught us makeup, the gods taught us the art of magic, the gods, right? So when you take all that that's being said to you on the movie screen, then you start to realize that that's magic. Okay? So they're using the screens on the image to indoctrinate your mind, because the mind doesn't grow up until probably the age of 30. That's when you become an adult. And sadly, when you start using drugs or drinking or partying or anything before that, before the full development of your brain, then you stunt the growth of your emotional capacity to process things. And they know this. This is why they offer you all the drugs. I want you to understand that kids that bring drugs to school demons. They don't know it. They don't know that they're being used, but they're popping the pills, going through chemical alchemy. You have pharmacy that means to poison. Okay? A pharmacy, which means witchcraft. I've showed you guys many times. Okay, I want you to look here where it says, yes, pharmacy was actually spelled with an F in Old French and early Middle English. Pharmacy before the PH spelling was restored later. And when I read that, I had to laugh because that completely goes against what they just said. Yes, pharmacy was actually spelled with an F first in Old French. So why would it have to be restored? But that's not my point here. My point is I'm telling you that the PH in pharmacy was brought into existence so that they could put the word harm. That's right. You see it in there now because this is a split tongue language. Okay? Yeah. So you have that. Okay. So the rest of Jeremiah says here that the flights of locusts, the goyim, the Gentile, will come from all ends of the earth, saying that we have inherited nothing but lies from our ancestors, from our forefathers. We have inherited lies from our own forefathers who enslave us so that they can stay in power and live the good life and get all the rewards here. And if you can endure to not get caught up in the world that they want you to get caught up in, then your rewards will be much greater when your source, your spirit, your soul, your ghost leaves your flesh suit. So when your ghost leaves the flesh suits, what's going to happen? Okay, right now we're living the life. Okay, but if we look at the word life and we pronounce it backwards, it says Iphil. Okay, and it almost sounds like evil. Iphil. If somebody was speaking with a rich accent, you could actually think that Iphil sounds like evil. That's reaching a little bit, but I don't care. I like doing this. It makes me feel good. I don't care what you guys think. Life, I mean, I care what my audience thinks, but don't get me wrong, my audience don't really respond much anyways. So, living alive, to live equals evil backwards. And this is why Aleister Crowley read our language forwards and backwards, because there are words that are developed within the language itself. So you have military, which is a lie, the politics. And then I've talked quite often about the ick, okay, which will get you to icky, the politics, the policies. The ick in policies is a silent ick, but it's still there. You have the ick. You have the ick in police, and you have lies. All right? And the police are a lie that protect a broken criminal system. Why isn't our government call it the victims, okay, system, criminal justice, the victims justice? Why? Because in this plane of existence, victims get punished and the criminal goes free. That's why it's called the criminal justice system and not the victim justice, because the victim gets the shit beat out of them and then has all these entities, all of them, lying on you. All of them. because they're a hive. All of that is a hive. Do you see the connection? Does any of that make sense to you? Can you see that liberty is truly a lie? If you have to work for somebody to get paid and then pay the taxes to the person you got to work for, doesn't that kind of sound like a lie? If you buy a house and you pay the house off, you still have to pay taxes on your house the entire time, and if you don't, you lose the house. Isn't that a lie? Why do you think it's called a mortgage? Because they lock you in to your life, 30 years of your life, paying them, rather than, just living a base life, buying a couple of acres, putting in a septic tank, putting in a well of your own, firing up some solar system up there for you, maybe have a side generator in case you need the generator or anything like that, and just kind of fall off grid. And then you just work, and all of a sudden, you put a fence around your property, you turn it into this beautiful oasis, your own home. And it's not about the size of the home, folks. It's about the love that's inside of the home. It's about the character of those that are inside of a home. Otherwise, a home is just like your skin suit, an empty shell, and until somebody is living in it, does that home have character? So, what's the character of your home? Are you a hoard? Do you hide stuff? Finish this one here out, Jeremiah. Vanities, lies from our ancestors, our forefathers, vanities of ourselves. Vanities of ourselves. Why? Because we're the ones that are creating ourselves in an image. We're the gods Elohim. That's what I'm telling you. Now, here's the kicker. We're both good and evil. Elohim are both good and evil. Okay? We do good deeds and we do bad deeds. Okay? Sometimes people get lost in the evil of it, and it's so exhilarating and so, I'm alive. Oh my God, I got to do that again. I'm alive. And they might find that from, taking a woman and raping her, or a child, or murdering somebody, or killing somebody. That's what makes them feel alive. Why? Because they're not alive. They don't care. If you don't engage with the system out there and you don't allow anybody inside of your home, then the evil can't really touch you. As long as you're doing what's right, just live by the 10 Commandments. Because the other day I just looked this up too. There's 613 commandments. Let me show you what the number 613 means in the Strong's Concordance. Number 613 in the Strong's Concordance. Okay. You see that? So 613, there's 613 commandments in the Bible that refer to the Greek word apokrypto, apokrypto. I may be pronouncing that wrong, I don't care. To hide or keep secret. So they've enslaved us with 613 commandments. The Old Testament. And when you look at the New Testament, the New Testament has 1,050 new commandments. So it has 433 more commandments in the New Testament than the Old Testament. So if something makes you think, I want to go out and find out what that number is, because now today, man, you don't understand how quick I'll go and I see a date, I see a time, an event that happened, boom, I look at the time frame, I start breaking it down, I look at it, the date, I involve it all, and then I go right to the numerology and I go right to the gematria calculator and I start figuring it out and I break it down to the final digit. Because why? Because I've told you that letters are emojis. They're not just sounds. They have meaning to the symbol itself. You know, for example, like the way they use it in the military. A equals apple. B equals Bravo and Charlie and Delta and Echo and Foxtrot. So the letters are symbols that mean something. So without us knowing, we are speaking a language that is dark. And the last part of this parable here, Jeremiah, I know it takes a long time for me to get to a parable here, huh? Well, that's because I want you to understand the true meaning of what the parable is saying. So the last part of the parable is vanities of ourselves and things that will do you no good. Things that will do you no good. O Lord, you're my strength, refuge, and fortress in the day of my afflictions. The Gentiles shall come for you from all ends of the earth, saying, we've inherited nothing but lies from our ancestors, vanities of ourselves, and things that will not profit us nothing. What are the things that profit us nothing? Idols. Once you understand that we are the idols, and we're not supposed to be idolizing one another, then you get the understanding. Doesn't mean that you can't love one another. All it's basically saying is, look, there's a creator that created everything that's around you, or at least some kind of simulation where you think that you are in something that is living. And this is why the earth was called Terra, because it's terraform for terrarium. We live inside of a terrarium that has a firmament above it. Okay? And when supposedly God floods the world, okay, Noah here being a big name in the Bible, God floods the world, then what? He gives it to four families, 8 members, to feed and water millions of animals every day, plus clean up their shit. Let's not forget that, and their dung and their urine, all right? And then, maybe have what? How long do you think it would take to feed, say, 2 or 3 million animals on an ark? And then clean up their poop? 8 of you. Oh, I think the story falls apart right about there, because I've worked on a farm, and I've taken at horse shows, and we've had crews of 16 people just for the horses alone, cleaning up all their stalls and getting all of the stuff from all the hay and stuff where they drop and they urinate. Why? Because these are show horses, and show horses can't be standing in their own piss and shit, or their hooves will get thrushed. So the elephants, the animals, all of it, it's all a shit show. That story of Noah's Ark, it never happened. So people that are pushing it, and they're trying to sell you this land where Noah's Ark slid down Mount Ararat and it came to rest, and then it was covered by all this other mass, 33, 40, 50 feet down. That is all showmanship. You are in a world where there is something in power, and it tells nothing but lies when it speaks. So if it's coming from a politician, because I showed you guys the other day about the parable Yeah, so I think it was just easy enough to go here and say that during COVID, when it first came out in 2020, I have a video on my channel that I engage with Captain Chris Perry at the Ceres Police Department, and an event that took place between Officer Hooper and another officer of Grabel that jumped me back in 2020 in the middle of the parking lot for simply talking to people about the COVID vaccination. This is why they beat me up. Now, I find that kind of odd because we all have this First Amendment right to express our religious beliefs. We're allowed to speak on our religious beliefs, our beliefs. See, it doesn't even. I'm trying to get rid of that one too. Belief, believe, or believe, or a belief system. Yeah, both have the lie. You believe the lie if you have a belief system and you believe because you've been told. Especially when you're in a world that's been turned over to the hands of the wicked. That's 9:24, Job. The earth has been turned over to the hands of the wicked. If the earth has been turned over to the hands of the wicked, then would the wicked teach you to worship the one true God? Now, if there was any truth at all to Noah's Ark, and let's say that it is, that they were able to feed 3 million animals and they were able to clean the shit, or let's say that they put the animals to sleep, which would have been a much better thing for them to say in the book. But see, when they wrote that shit, they weren't thinking. Why? Because they're liars. The religious liars over here, the ones with GI in it, the soldiers for religion, the legions of demons that you have in the word religion. Okay? So the COVID-19 vaccination, and then when you hit COVID, when you add vaccination, that is 666. Okay? COVID-19 is 666. It stands for Certificate of Vaccination ID. COVID ID. Certificate of Vaccination Identification. It was a marker. Now, so if you took the shot, you have taken the mark of the beast. Sorry to break it to you. Okay? But doesn't, just because you've taken the mark of the beast doesn't mean that you can't change the outcome by taking it. What it means is you got to recognize that you've taken the mark, and then you have to have a change of mind. You have to have a metanoia moment. You have to change the thought process from the beast system, because we've all taken the shot, folks. In one way or another, we've all taken vaccinations. We've had them all given to us. That's the mark of the beast. Vaccinations are the mark of the beast. Okay? Driver's license, mark of the beast. Birth certificate, mark of the beast. Social Security card, mark of the beast. Okay? First one, the market. Mark. Mark. You see it? Do you see the mark? The market? Mark of the beast. What did they, back then in the Roman days, what did they throw to the crowds? They weren't throwing them t-shirts or pairs of socks. No, they weren't. What were they throwing, folks? They were throwing bread. Bread. That's what they were throwing. Okay? So, bread is a what we call, I'm having a tough time pulling the word, a metaphor for bread, money. Because bread is money. We've all heard it, man. I want to make bread. I want to make cheddar. I want to have the cheese. I want to be the big top. But the very first one is bread, which equals money. And money equals monetary. And monetary equals 666. So when we participate in the system, the monetary system, we are engaging with the mark of the beast. There is absolutely no way that you can no longer engage with the mark of the beast unless America just decided to say, you know what? Screw you guys. We're all going out to the freaking forest in the middle of the jungle somewhere, and we're going to live in little bitty huts. Okay? And that's the way it's going to be. We're going to dump all your freaking bullshit, your convenience in life, because your convenience in life is what's polluting our earth. We're all guilty of it. Your convenience and your vanity and your shampoos and your makeup and all of your stuff, your underarm deodorant, all of this stuff is designed when you use it in correlation with one another to cause cancer. Could possibly cancer of the lymph nodes underneath the armpits be because people are using an underarm deodorant? Okay, because I know when I use underarm deodorant just one freaking time, I literally, it just makes me itch for days, man. I can't even use it again because it makes me itch so bad. It makes me itch raw. So when I use underarm deodorant today, I just put it on the outside of my shirt, man, because I can't stand that stuff on my body anymore. I'm not young. It doesn't, whatever that shit is, it's not the same as when I was 30 years old and I used underarm deodorant. I didn't have any problem. But today, I have a serious problem if I use it. So bread is money. Money is monetary. Monetary is 666. Yep. Certificate of vaccination identification. COVID backwards is DVOC, which is a Dibuk, which is an evil spirit, which latches on a human, mankind, or an animal. Now, go and look it up in Wikipedia yourself. The definition of a Dibuk. Here it is, right here. I've already written it out for you, but the definition of a Dibuk is an evil spirit which latches on to a human, mankind, or an animal. So, what is the two differentials between mankind and animals? Well, these two here, animal, are mankind. Humans want to pretend, mankind want to pretend that they're humans, but mankind are really animals. Those that created themselves in an image of the sixth day of creation are animals. Mankind, again, are animals. There was a race of flesh created like animals. Told you, in my version of the creation story, the spirit creates the flesh suit and we're all down here just, eating, grazing. It's good. The creator, the source of all life, he sees that it's good. It's beautiful. He doesn't care if any of us have any knowledge or not. It's his creation. He likes it just the way it is. But something wanted to use the flesh suit for something other than just looking down on the creation. This is why it says, when God laid the foundations of the earth, the angels in heaven, this heaven, you got to understand that for this plane of existence, the angels that sang in this heaven, the earth, between the earth and the firmament is a heaven. This is why it tells you that the birds flew in the heavens, because the heavens are several heavens, as it tells you. Can't think of the parable, but it talks about, I don't know whether a man in Christ raised to the third heaven. That's paraphrased, and it was a terrible job of it, but yes, a third heaven. So the way I see it is the Sheol is a hell. The earth itself, the Sheol, is also considered paradise, because when Jesus dies on the cross, he goes to paradise. So, and he tells that man also next to him that he will be with him this day in paradise. If Jesus went to hell for 3 days and told that man that he would be with him that day in paradise, then that's telling you that Jesus is, because he went to hell first. He died on the cross. The Bible says he went to hell. He went to hell for 3 days. And he told that man, I'll be with you this day in paradise. You'll be with me. Paradise is hell. Yeah. Because he that ascended to this plane of existence descended first to hell. See, now we have a firmament. The firmament's here to keep the soul that's dirty and corrupt from ascension, because in the kingdom of heaven here, the high mind, there is nothing but purity. It's a frequency and vibration of something you can't fathom or even understand, because you're all trapped in thinking, oh, this is it. I'm going to die. I'm going to go in the grave. This is why people can't sleep and stuff at night. You know, am I going to live? Am I going to die? Is there a God? Is there not? Everybody starts asking that. All the atheists at the end of their life, you bet your ass, they're all like, I wonder if I was right, man, I'm telling you. Or they're like, man, I shouldn't have jumped, because it's a job. It's a job just like Christianity is a job. That's what they're here. They are stumbling blocks. They will do anything that they can. They'll build you theme parks. They'll create games like baseball and football and hockey. And, you know, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them. What I'm asking is for you to open your mind and understand that they're a distraction. Not to put so much energy into it like, yeah, my team, ooh, ooh, you know, and because when you're over here, you're screaming, this is my team, and this guy's over here screaming, this is my team, and you guys are, that's the entity that feeds off of that. Division. To pick a team, to pick a side, to pick one or to pick the other. All by design. So mankind is the animal. These are the exact two same. Human are spiritual beings. Mankind is a natural being. And this is why you have in the definition, which all of you should be questioning, why human, mankind, or an animal. And it uses that animal until its purpose has been fulfilled. That's the definition of certificate of vaccination. Okay, DeVoc backwards. The number 19 represents soul. Okay, also